Welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase
I'm
Ingram.
Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler.
Wolverine.
Yes, you got it. Yes.
I've been like over the last several that we've had. But dude, you are so bundled up right now.
It's
Well,
fucking it's
Okay.
fucking cold, dude. Like
easy California. Define
know.
cold. Like you're cold and hot is even
I would
outside of the 70s.
Well, yeah, it's definitely outside of that. Like I'd say it's probably 52 right now, but we got a lot of rain, a lot of rain. You know, that's that. We're not used to that. So, and I'm here all day long. I'm here from like 9. I coached the 9. Was doing some work during the middle of the day. Then I coached the 12. Then we have this, and then I coached the 5. Then I coached the 6:15. So I'm here. So I need to be prepared because then the daylight savings time pops in, fucks it all up.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Dang.
right.
So I'm trying. So I got that. I have some nice stew here that I'm eating for lunchtime while we're talking about old people workouts.
I like it.
Hey, nice shirt, by the way, dude.
Oh, this whole thing?
Oh, this whole thing?
Plastic, black and
Yeah.
white OG.
It's the best.
You got a party hat on. I like your hoodie.
Dude.
How nice is that?
I just got this yesterday. Check it. The hood is so cool. The OG is so cool. And I got it on yesterday. I just was wearing it because it was cold last night here. And right away, like our people were like, "Hey, where'd you get that sweatshirt? Hey, that sweatshirt looks really cool. Hey, can we get our logo on that sweatshirt?" Everybody was all fired up on the sweatshirt. And I'm like, hey, Sherpa Works.
Hey,
we need to talk.
Can we make a Inferno hoodie with
yeah. Get a little OG on there.
It's I'll tell you what. First off, if you guys haven't been to the new website yet,
it's badass.
Let me just
peruse it with us.
Yeah, here you go. You're welcome, by the way. Before we even get there, but we have our own website now. Look at that. I'm just gonna look at that. What Ken and Chad did and are doing.
Way more than what I could do.
Way more. Glassman Shipper Book Club, home gym, join the newsletter, shop in the collection. Got all these things coming. The podcast is going to get put on there. But if you guys haven't shopped through this stuff, look at all this. There it is.
I know.
There she is.
The one I can't wait to see is the like that's sick.
So sick.
I love that. But I cannot wait. I got the crop top OG sweatshirt for Laura.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot wait to see that on. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Where's that? You're joking, but we're it's
give us some time.
Yeah, let us get back in shape. Let us get back in shape. But yeah, that's all up. The hoodie is awesome. Like it's the softest thing I've ever seen or I've ever felt. Like
it's so good.
Dude, I wore that around the Rogue Invitational, just like it was great.
Clock cutter, yes, it is. That is pukey in the O. That's right. Because we bring it back.
That's right.
We bring it back.
Got it back. Let's see if I can click back over here just so you can see that up. Oh, yes.
There it is.
I don't know why I'm circling that as if it's
like
I meant to circle as if so you can now that I was like massaging the O. But the one thing too is if you guys haven't checked out Sherpa Works at all, you need to go check them out because as Bill was saying, he's like, hey, can we print out merch for our gym? And the answer is abso-freaking-lutely. And that's what Ken is there for with Sherpa Works. So if you guys haven't checked them out, hit them up on Instagram. I think it's just at Sherpa Works, SherpaWerk. But go check them out because they do everything. And here's the best part is that all you have to do is tell them what you want, and they set up the store online for you. And then if you're an affiliate owner, especially, or like, hey, I want to make some joke shirts, say for, I don't know, someone's birthday weekend that someone in this chat may have done. Which, yeah, I can pull up a photo on. But all you have to do is set it up. And then as an affiliate owner, you don't have to collect everyone's sizes. You don't have to charge everyone by yourself. You don't have to get it all together and make sure everybody does. And if someone's out of town just because they love your gear, you don't have to mail it to them because he does all of that for you.
Impressive. Yeah.
For you. And then at the end of all of that, out of all the things that they do for you, the logo, any rendition you want, they just send you a check.
Which is cool.
Thank you for your business.
Yeah.
Thank you for your business. So affiliate owners, friends, if you like, if you got a baseball team or a bowling club or whatever you want, hit up Ken and Sherpa Works and they will do anything. I mean, not anything. Let me hold that back a little bit. I'm sure they don't have any like customized GIMP masks.
They can do.
Yes. I mean, it will do. But they have, I mean, if you, what is that in like Meet the Fockers where he's like, you can milk anything with nipples. He's like, I can print on whatever you want, really.
Can you print on my face?
Yeah.
Print on my face.
So, if you guys hadn't hit him up, Ken's been awesome. He did some really cool stuff for my birthday party last week. Today's a fun day. I turned 40 today. I know feel like I've been turning 40 for the last week and a half, but today's the real day.
It's so weird.
Dude.
Isn't that so weird? It's just weird because I don't even.
I feel like.
Have you gotten to the age where you just stop counting?
Yeah.
Do you just stop counting?
Yeah.
Like I did that long time ago. Like I don't think I think for like, oh yeah, dang. I remember that. And it was like, whoa. Mm-hmm. That was a really long time ago.
Yes.
I try not to say that out loud.
Yes.
But I don't see us as 15 years different. Well, 13 years.
No, not really.
Not really. I mean, or either I'm just a really goofy old guy or you're a really goofy young guy who acts old. I don't know. We meet in the middle somewhere, dude.
Yeah. Just a little weaving of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's been awesome. Turned 40 today. Super exciting. Ken made a lot of shirts for our friends that we took a little trip to Scottsdale last week, and it was the best. Like,
I'm sure you guys, I don't know how you guys got through all the games, honestly. I don't know how you did that, first of all. But second of all, the fact that someone had the forthright thinking brain to do the, hi, I'm Jay Singerman. This is my first drink. This is my last drink.
So you know who actually told me to do that was Tommy Marquez.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, because I've seen it's like a TikTok wedding video craze, and he's like, please do that for your Olympics.
That was great.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's genius, and it was amazing.
Did you guys switch off who took the video for the end, or was that?
No, I took them all.
Well, who did yours?
Oh well, I don't know who did mine. I think Jules did mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys handed off the camera or if it was a designated person to get, everybody in or
no, I try to get everybody. Obviously the first round is a lot easier than the second round. I did lose one guy. So there was one participant that we got in the morning that we did not get in the afternoon for particular reasons that I was like, oh, they're gone. Oh, okay. It's too bad because that video would have been awesome. But yeah, that was super fun. And the house we went to, man. It was Candyland.
Wow.
Candyland.
Yeah.
By Candyland, I mean Candyland for athletes. Or bar games or lawn games or whatever, like tailgate games. It had, I wonder if I can pull this up. we'll see. But it started off as a joke because, my wife obviously picked out and decided on everything, but we had, we had Mayor and Jules are some of my closest friends for 10 plus years through CrossFit who know me all too well. And so they saw it online, and it's this house that has it has a basketball court, a pickleball court, a pool, a hot tub, cornhole, ping pong, sand volleyball, outdoor bowling, outdoor shuffleboard, horseshoes, and a 9-hole putt golf with a little driving net on the side for golf if you want to. Not like a screen, but just if you want to hit balls in the net. And then inside the house is like a sports bar that has 6 TVs in it with a shuffleboard table, a foosball table, a pool table, a air hockey table, and a poker table. All in this house. And if anybody knows me, this is like heaven, because I am way too competitive, and I will make a game out of a bottle cap and a garbage disposal if I have to, because I just want to be competitive. And so I think it was Mara Jules that sent it to Ashley, is like, hey, as a joke, this is the worst place we could send Chase because I'm annoyingly competitive. And like later, my wife goes, no, let's do that place. It's perfect. Yeah, it's great. It was great.
That's awesome.
I know.
It looked amazing.
So I got 3 years to get my shit together because that's when Ashley turns 40. Am I supposed to say that on? Yeah, whatever. It's happening. It's real. Yeah. I got 3 years. I got 3 years to try to do something. For her, it's simple. It's like find a warm beach.
I like her style.
Yeah,
I like her style.
Yeah. So it was really cool. Thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. It means a lot. It's too much. Too much. I try to get through the day unscathed, as like, hey, it's your birthday, especially like the gym. But the gym we're going to now here in Dallas at Cross the Katy Trails, like they posted it on like their Sugar WOD and kept announcing it in the class. I'm like, guys, I'm not a big like birthday guy, but 40, I'll take it while I got it. It's been great.
Yeah, dude, you have to. This shit goes by fast.
Yeah,
it goes by fast.
30 to 40. Ooh. Yeah, it went by fast.
You think that you have no idea. The next 10, like if you close your eyes for just like, let me just take a quick little nap, you'll wake up at 50. Right. It's that fast. So.
Yeah, and kids too just like are a time warp.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are a time warp. Being a business owner is a time warp. Just everything we do, just everything I add to my life speeds it up. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So this morning, I went in my son's room to wake him up for school. We just kind of like laid there for 5 minutes, so I could just kind of slow down time for a second, because he's 4, my daughter's 2, and I was like, I'm gonna miss these times, and it's gonna go fast because 10 years went by really fast when I turned 30. But yeah, so hoping to slow it down a little bit. And one thing, we have Veterans Day is coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people out there doing Chad, which is $1,000 step ups with 40 and 30 pound weight vest.
Yeah. We usually do it with a bar
at a 20-inch box. Oh, you do it with a bar?
Yeah.
Ooh.
We do 20.
That sounds worse.
It sucks. Hurts your traps.
Yeah.
But we do that one, and I don't remember. I think we do. I want to say we do 24 and 20.
Really? I think it's just 20 though.
That's just what we do. I don't know why we always have to just be stupid like that. But we usually do that one on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Partner of the show, Bubs, is they actually have it does nothing for the show and it's everything for Bubs, and which is what we want to do, is because it's good people doing great things. Is they have a huge site-wide special going on through Veterans Day. I think I see that's 25% off. Yeah, 25% off everything that's a non-subscription item, and you get free shipping of anything over 75. So if you guys want to bump up your discount a bit, ours is 20% if you use Get with 20, but if you go there now, you're gonna get 25% off. And that's their deal going into Veterans Day. And I think they always do something on Veterans Day where they just donate all proceeds for the day to the charities that they represent, which is a lot of their military charities. So hop on over there if you guys got some time. Just to check that out. So it's pretty sweet what they're always doing. As I said, good dudes doing great things. But today we are here to talk about the Masters Fitness Collective, which went down a week or two ago.
2 weeks ago. I think it's the 21st, 22nd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's two major off-season competitions for Masters athletes, and it's the Masters Fitness Collective, which is one, and then it's the Legends Masters Championship, which is the other. The Legends will be coming up in, I want to say,
December, second weekend in December.
Yeah, in December.
And that's actually going to be at CrossFit Mayhem this year in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Really awesome. That's coming up. But one of the things we want to do is we wanted to go through the program. We did the same thing at the games, and we really, really enjoyed the CrossFit Games programming because there's, a lot of that is for Masters. It's just classic fun CrossFit, usually things that we would enjoy doing, not suffer through doing. And once we go through the events, is we also want to look at basically the evolution of the programming for Masters athletes going into the new season. And, before we get into what the Masters Fitness Collective did is I think it's so hard to get this thing right just because of the different skill sets and different age brackets, because it's always like, oh, well, I'm 60 and you took bar muscle ups out. And like, that's the one thing I kind of bank on to separate myself, or I can overhead squat this weight and you're not making us like go below parallel or half like everyone else can't do it. So like, what is that line you try to draw when it comes to these different divisions and the skill sets and strengths of individual athletes?
Yeah, it's weird because I think the tendency is to pigeonhole age groups based on, well, I don't think a whatever age can do X, Y, and Z things. And the vast majority of Masters programmers out there are not Masters athletes. There are athletes that are, or even good programmers, or maybe they're even older programmers. And I'm talking like in their 30s, maybe getting up to 40 or in their 40s. But I don't have a real strong grasp on what a competitive Masters CrossFitter looks like. And there's a difference between 35-year-olds, 45-year-olds, 55-year-olds, 65-year-olds. Yes. But when you are talking like the game, and this is one of the things I think is really hard, is the games should be different than the out of season competitions. Just like with the Rogue and Wodapalooza and Dubai, like those are not trying to find the fittest on the planet. It should allow to show for some, showcase some great competition, show what the athletes are able to do, but you shouldn't be trying to necessarily find the outer limits of what the range of their fitness levels are. But with that being the case, I still think that like we're getting a lot better as far as programming for all these events. But I still think there's a big hole. And one of the things that I generally look at now, because I'm approaching the 55-year-old bracket. It's really hard to say that out loud. But that's where one of the big...
When do you turn 55?
Drops are,
It's like a cliff.
Yeah. And I think that's really hard to... I think it needs to be addressed more and analyzed better by the people that are programming it. They need to get people that are in those divisions that can do the certain things and be like, hey, this is what these people should be doing. Not just because I can do it or whoever's programming it, but like they should be able to look at, like, again, if you're looking at the far end or the tip of the spear or the short end of the bell curve, it's not what can everybody do and have a race, but what can the top people do and have a race, at least at the games level. But, these other ones, it's hard. And I think that we've evolved a lot. We still have a ways to go, but that's because there are 19 divisions, man. Like when you have that many different divisions of people you're trying to organize for, you can't just say, take off 10 pounds at each thing, and then it works. It doesn't always work out like that. So these events have it's a large task, and anyone that thinks that a Masters event is a watered down version or a sideshow or a second, or it's like haphazardly just go and do it, put it together, they're in it for a rude awakening, because if you have all those divisions, you have to think for each one of those divisions. That's really tough. So
and it is, and it's for all those reasons. And the other one is that every year it shifts.
Yeah,
right? It's shifting sand. The foundation isn't the same. So what we had here, and especially what we had 10 years ago, is not even the same competition as we have currently. Just with all the athletes aging up. I mean, the fact that you're going to move up into 55 plus is a joke. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
I've never, ever raced with a dumbbell less than 50.
Right.
Like I think I demonstrate the movements with a 50-pound dumbbell, let alone 35.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Godzilla in Tokyo, just like smashing buildings and stomping on cars. Like I really don't understand how we're gonna get through that. But you know, and I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, maybe these off-season competitions, as we're gonna get into real quick, is showcasing what these athletes are capable of, or where the demographic in these age brackets are going into the games season each and every year. So how do you appropriately look at that, and how do you program for the Open, the quarterfinals, and then semifinals going into the CrossFit Games? Because I think they do a great job at the CrossFit Games, and even some of the scales you said last year, is it was really cool to see that, and you did that, right?
Yeah.
You called all that action, and you saw things like, okay, yeah, you're not going to climb the whole pegboard, but you're going to get 2 holes up and 2 holes down,
right?
Things like that.
Yeah, and that was I think of, you know, we've always oohed and awed at the general programming for the Open division of the CrossFit Games, you know, and it's easy to say things we like, things we don't like, whatever. And generally speaking, we've held that up as like the holy grail of programming, you know, whether it was Dave doing it or even, you know, Adrian doing this last year. But I have to say that the last Masters Games run, the way it was written, was one of the best programmed, because it put everyone right to the limit to where they're supposed to be. You have the best athletes in those age divisions in the world, and they need to be pushed. It's not,
and there was only 10.
What can everyone do?
Yeah.
But what can the best of the best do? And how do you make them do it? And how do you showcase it? And then how do you show the relevance between the 35-year-olds and the 65-year-olds? I thought that was awesome how they strung that all together. That was a great year. That was one of the best program years I've ever seen.
Totally agree. And so as we turn our eyes towards the Masters Fitness Collective, right, we had to do a little searching to find the events. But the other one that was interesting is that, you know, I'm technically, as Bill would describe it, as actually becoming a Masters athlete.
Yeah.
As opposed to the 35 to 39. But here they actually have a 30 to 34 division. How do you feel about that? Loaded question. I apologize.
Without trying to take any steam away from the guys that are there. I mean, you got Elijah Muhammad in there, see Danny Petro in there, see some of the other names in there and stuff like that, which is really cool. I'm not a fan of that. It's like, okay, when are they going to make the 20 to 24-year-old Masters division? And you know, the way we're going, it's like the only Open division is going to be 16 to 19. You know,
right? Well, if it's trending like it is on the female side, that is the Open division, because apparently if you're under 20, you're now like top 10 at the CrossFit Games going forward.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the leaderboard here, because it has all the events in which we won, and we'll go event by event as they go through. And as we have said here, is the first event is called Fast and Furious. And what it is a 50-foot handstand walk, and it has, for certain divisions, a 25 unbroken section all the way up to 49, and then 5-foot unbroken sections for 50 plus, into a 50 Frevo rope single crossovers. Okay, so you have a crossover, but not a double crossover, which I would almost say is like when you talk about Masters athletes actually being better at bench press than Open athletes, is that crossovers were not uncommon back in the day, as far as
Totally.
how to use a jump rope and into another 50-foot handstand walk. So a very fast, high skill start to the weekend.
I thought it was cool that they put crossovers in there, just even though it was single unders, they're sprinkling that around. So we've seen it in the games, and that was one of the big shocks that everyone was talking about. So the fact that they sprinkled it in there, I think, is cool. The handstand walks, I remember when Tony Budding asked me if handstand push-ups should be in the Masters division, because is that too much for Masters athletes? So I'm glad that we're way past that. I love the fact that they had, the 50-foot handstand walk. It is fast, and it definitely puts the pressure on that. I like the fact that they're unbroken sections. I think that the 30 to 44 having 5-foot increments, I think that's way too little. And then again, in 2 years, I'm going to be doing bear crawls.
No, it's only 50 plus.
50.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I looked down to the RX. My bad. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, even so, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're right. And I like that setup. So as long as they have the 25-foot unbroken, I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I mean, super fast.
Well, and if you think too, is like, okay, a skill set for Masters athletes, and it has here 60 plus is when the 100-foot bear crawl comes, or
right.
it says, or, which is what we saw last year a little bit at the Legends Championship, is that instead of saying you can only do, is that they're giving scales, or not even scales, alternatives, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
So if you have the skill set, which is kind of what we let off earlier, you're not going to get penalized by not being able to use that to your advantage, because your 25-foot handstand walk, if you're really good at it, is going to take way less time than a 100-foot bear crawl. Absolutely. So I like the or option, deliberate or, not the quarterfinals or.
Totally.
But I think it's cool. It's making them work, do a lot of high skill with a little bit of jump rope and a little bit of handstand walk.
Yeah, I just think I like how, I mean, it's fast and that's great, but I think what's cooler about this is it really does test your accuracy and your skill at high speed, because you can't not go fast on these. You can't. Like everyone's going to rush the handstand walk, and they're going to be falling all over themselves if they don't know where to put that pedal. So I think that's really cool, and it right out of the gate, test that skill. I mean, as event number 1, I think that's awesome.
And a high execution that comes with that, and which is, again, it's really cool. All right, event 2, Atlas, 1 mile run. 1 mile run with a sandbag, followed by another 1 mile run. And we talked about this at the Rogue Invitational, is having a longer, we just did a very fast gymnastics skills event, sub 90 seconds for your top 10 athletes, into a aerobic endurance test with that little wrinkle in the middle with the sandbag.
Yeah. Which would be, I mean, I'm looking at these how I would feel. Okay, one thing, it's like, okay, 3 mile run. Okay, whatever, fine. I'm not the biggest fan of just a straight run like that. But when you add the weight to it, that is a game changer, especially in the middle, because then you have to come off of that. So you can't not go fast into the sandbag. You have to have enough gas to really put the pedal down after the sandbag, and you got to be able to run decent enough to kind of sustain everything through the sandbag while you're doing that extra work. So it's I mean, we've all done Murph. We've all done it with 20 pounds and 14 pounds, but a 70 or a 50 or even a 30-pound sandbag, if you get up into the 55 to 59, like that gets heavy.
Yeah,
that's heavy.
Yeah.
So
I dig it.
That's a great event. It's a great event. Especially coming, like you said, right after that mega sprint. It's awesome.
Mark has this question. Mark, the only way I could describe this as, it wasn't a mile. Like game. And here's what we say this about the CrossFit Games: take all distances, whether it's on land or on water, with a grain of salt.
Right. It could be one lap, and then another lap with a sandbag, and then another lap.
Mile-ish is what we're going to call it. Yes, if anyone rolls out with an 18-minute, basically 5K, and 1/3 of it is running with a sandbag, then I'm like, okay, You guys are a bunch of freaks.
Yeah.
As it comes to this. But as far as you look at the back-to-back, yeah. Like, oh no, they're doing 18 minutes when it comes to this. But for these back-to-back events, I like it so far as we build through the rest of the weekend. And as we look at the next event, which is we have an A and B. I guess I need to back out a little bit. Here we go. Beat the clock. Beat the clock.
Oh yeah.
Is this the swim one?
Yeah.
Oh, they had another swim one, which is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is an elimination style event with 50-yard swims, which is kind of what we wished we saw or wanted to see at the CrossFit Games.
Right.
Which is funny. And at 3, 2, 1, go, you have a minute and 15 seconds to do a 50-yard swim. Cut to 16. At the next, basically 2:30 to 3:45 mark, cut to 12. Next one round, cut to 8. Round 4, cut to 4. Round 5, rank in order of finish. So you basically have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 50-yard sprints in a pool where they just whittled it down from 16, 12, 8, 4, and then finish your order 1 through 4.
And I like that, having to do the 50s on a minute 15
Mm-hmm.
for CrossFitters. Like that's towards the end where it really counts where your what your sprint looks like. That's gonna be a big deal. And you did. I mean, like you saw, I saw on their Instagram they were showing that the people that did well were the swimmers. I mean, like
Right.
it's a muscle memory setup, event for sure. But I love seeing it like that. I love seeing those out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it should be. It doesn't need to be some. I mean, it was fun when we were doing the long distance swims, but like these are just way more fun. They're more meaningful, that you see it, you see things happening. Most of the time when people get in the water for a long distance, like kind of once you're in, you beat through the mass start, and then you basically for the most part have your spot.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And
this is a really good
the
setup.
difference here is that, obviously we have to see how these events add up onto each other. But as far as we're looking at 1, 2, 3 is you got a sprint style start with handstand walks and a higher skill rope movement if you've never done it before. Then the aerobic test, longer distance, mile run, sandbag run, mile run, and then here a sprint style in the pool. Now it's we got a lot of fast stuff going on so far, 2 of the 3, yet we still have, 6 events to go. But as far as an enjoyable test and what this is, I'm liking what it's so far. So we move from Fast and Furious event 3 to Atlas. Nope, I'm sorry.
Now we get to speed kills.
Yeah, now we get to speed kills.
A.
As I back up. Beat the clock, speed kills A. And so these A and B is how they're going to work together. And you let me know if I'm saying this wrong. You have 5 rounds. It's a 2-minute clock with a 1-minute rest. The beginning of each round is going to be a Cal Echo bike. We'll just say 12 and 9 for the elite men and women.
Yeah.
While by 5 and 3, 6 bar muscle ups. Right. Oh, they kept the number for the women.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So 12 and 9 on the bike, 6 bar muscle ups, and then 3 snatches.
So I think that's how they do the B if I'm not mistaken. So you have your,
and it's the weight.
Right.
And I think it's the total weight lifted as your combined score. So if you look at the scores here, is as I gotta keep backing out so people can read this.
Well, it's like on the competition corner, speed kill A is on one page, and then speed kill B is on the other.
A, you've got 3 minutes, 3:10, right? These are your times. I think this is the total time it took you to finish the bike and the bar muscle ups added up for your rounds.
Right. And then total weight.
Yeah, and then on B, it's your total weight lifted for the 5 rounds because you have 1,185 pounds. So I'm assuming that is your snatch weight that you chose, albeit it's got to have been like 3 in a row with no missing.
Yeah.
Count because it says 4 attempts here.
Right.
And then they total that weight for 5 rounds. So you can add weight each round, which is a really interesting way to test strength because you're forcing them to take the first part seriously with the bike and the bar muscle up. So you have an echo bike, you have bar muscle up. So you've got some power output, you got some high skill gymnastics with the bar muscle ups. And then you're making them snatch, which, if you're doing a masters competition, they've got to be snatching and overhead squatting in some capacity.
Right.
This is the must, or else we're just going to cancel this entire competition. And how they're separating the two scores, even though they're tied to each other, I think is also very interesting.
I like that, and if I'm reading these weights correctly, so you have 4 attempts, meaning each of those 4 lifts that you pull, you add those 4 weights together, that gets your total. So if you go to snatch and you go too heavy and you miss, that's a very expensive miss.
Yeah, max 4 attempts.
Right. So, I mean, we already know how strong, Elijah Muhammad is, and he was 12th.
So he had to have a miss.
He had to have had a miss. He had 900 pounds. If you look who was first, Cam Ryan in the 30 to 34, 1185. That's all. That's what is that? 285 for 4 ish. Some right around there. So instead of going big, he went for the upper echelon that he knew he could hit, and that secured that spot.
Right. So
which is I love the pressure on that. I like what that does because it is strength. But you have to have consistency with the strength too.
Yeah.
You can't swing. You can't swing for the fence because if you do that, it's going to be an expensive miss.
Yeah, and the buy-in's pretty potent too because that time it takes you to get through it counts as the other score.
Yeah.
Which is odd because we enjoy this part, but there's something coming down the line where we do not, and we made that clear during a qualifier that we did enough speaking on. But it's multiple rounds as opposed to just one.
Right.
And so, yeah, your strength and weaknesses can be leveraged in this on both part A and part B.
Yeah.
All right. Moving to Jack Catch. So here we have a basically legless rope climb thruster event. 4 and 3 legless rope climbs into 12 thrusters at 175 and 115, 3 and 2, 9 thrusters, 2 and 1, 6 thrusters. We saw something similar to this. Yeah, right. We saw something similar to this in the regional finale, which was 3, 2, 1 and 21, 15, 9, but it was 95 and 65.
Yeah.
We've also seen something like Tommy V, which is more rope climbs, but the weight for the men was 115. This is a heavy weight.
Yeah.
For this amount of reps coupled with a legless rope climb. I mean, 4, 3, 2, you're looking at 9, 3, 2, 1, you're looking at 6 for the elite younger individuals. Like this is a tough, just little friend-like couplet.
I love the setup of what it does though, because it starts to blur the line between your with masters the tendencies for masters is they usually are kind of because of the sports that they did when they were younger. They're almost directed to a certain, like they're an endurance athlete, they're a football player, they're a wrestler, they're a lifter, and so you get the big strong lifter and then they have to try to work on the gymnastic, or you have the lighter athlete that needs to kind of work up to enough strength. I like where they put the weights and the number of legless rope climbs because it allows the strong guys will get through the thrusters. They're going to have to work on the legless rope climbs. The light guys will fly on the rope climbs and they're going to have to work on the thrusters. So I like that balance. I like how it balances that between the two.
If we look at the other divisions too, is that all the way up through 54, the legless rope climb numbers are the same.
Yeah.
The only thing that they did was lower the weight to 155 and 105. And if you look at 55 plus, okay, they made it regular rope climbs in 115 and 85, which it's one of those things like, okay, we have to start looking at how that 55 plus demographic is maturing, which is kind of weird to say with masters athletes, but athletically maybe in the space, because that is, I mean, that's just a cheat code for you.
I know. So for me, if I'm looking at this, like I love the workout. I love the way they did it, even for the first two divisions. Like I'll even take the 155, 105 on the 45 to 54. Like that's okay. I mean, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I think with you get the 55 to 59, make it 3, 2, 1 legless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make these guys do regular. It's okay. They can do legless.
They did it in the quarterfinals.
Right.
Or at least they had to.
Right. I think that the thruster's a little light. But and that's just me. But I mean, if you were to, without changing anything other than the rope climb part, you could have gone 3, 2, 1, which is what they did in like the women's elite side on the 45 to 54. Like I think an easy way is to almost default to the women's RX on the lower versions rather than switching it all the way around. I think that would have been okay, but that's what I would have switched it on that. And then I mean, here, okay, 60 plus, okay, all right. If you want to go regular rope climbs, fine. I like the number on that. I think the 60 plus, the setup, the 4 and 3 rope climbs, regular rope climbs, and the thruster at the weight that they have. Honestly, I think that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's good. I just think it's honestly now it's that 55 plus division.
It's such a hard
trouble.
Yeah.
Nailing down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip.
All right. As we move down the line, we went from Jack Ketch to
Sisyphus.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say syphilis, which I was like, damn, that's
I wanted to say that too.
That's not good. Now, this one is tricky for me to understand on the scoring system because I'm not sure how they scored it out, but as it reads, we've got a pyramid chipper, 50 and 35 cal ski, which is pretty standard, 30 deadlifts at 225 and 155, awesome. 20 burpee box jump overs at 30 and 24, 30 deadlifts, 50 cal ski. The fact that there are no times on here is maybe the time cap was too short, or I just don't know how to read the leaderboard correctly. But as far as the event itself, ski, anterior core pull down, a lot of midline, deadlift, the opposite, burpee box jump, everything in between.
Right.
This is awesome. And if you think of what we just came off of, which was a vertical upper body pull with a squat to press overhead, these back-to-back events fit so well back-to-back.
I'm trying to figure out what the cap plus 175, cap plus 154. I don't know how that came out that way.
Yeah, I'm looking at the scores.
I mean, if you look at the reps that are on there, there's 50. What is that? 108.
Yeah,
180 reps.
80 plus 20, yeah, 180. So I'm almost thinking it's cap and they got 175 reps, not they were down. They only did 5 reps. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
I'm looking at it.
I mean, I almost want to say that it's not cap plus the number, but it was like they made it through one round plus whatever else. Like it was an AMRAP of a certain setup. So they actually went through it almost like twice. No, because then you go cal ski to cal ski. That wouldn't work either. I don't know.
I think it's the total reps, like you said, is 180, and the best score was 5 cal short of the total 180. That's what makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. It's written weird because we're used to like cap plus number of reps you did not complete. I think this is cap the number of reps you actually completed.
And it's a cool event. Like I like the event. It's awesome. I just don't know what the time frame part is.
I think that, yeah, I would like to. It was hard to find a lot of the
I
information.
like it says on this. It says scoring for time. Fastest is better. No way, really.
Okay, cool. Or with our time cap, the more reps, the better.
Right.
But that being said, regardless of what the time cap is, I like the back-to-back here that they have set up between the two.
Yeah.
Like again, this is one I would like to do. And yes, it has deadlifts in it. All right, so we had, as we look, let me look back to this leaderboard. So far, we've got a 90-second effort, a 18+ minute effort, the sprints on the swims, and then we have the total combined time with the speed kills A and B with about 3 minutes was what they had these totals at. You can see 3 to 4 minutes between a lift. Jack catches right around, well, it depends. There's a big discrepancy, but your top 5 athletes, they're sitting at, let's say, sub 5, right? That's a short time domain capped here. And then we're coming up to the mind is willing, flesh is weak event. And this is the 2-parter that we, I guess, is this the finale?
Yeah.
2-parter finale. And what it is, we saw this before, is it's an A and B final, and it starts with a 1K row into 50 toes to bar, into a 100-foot kettlebell walking lunge with 53 and 35s. Part A is your row time. Part B is the total time it takes you to finish the entire event, including the row. And we saw this in the qualifier for Wodapalooza, and this is just not something you need to be doing in a like you didn't need to do an A and B. Like if you needed an extra score in there, there's a better way to do it. But to single out a 1K row is, again, we went through this when we looked at the Wodapalooza qualifiers for the individuals. Like that's just not the right thing to do. That is not the way to do it. It skews everything. And then when you have a smaller field, obviously it's a little bit better when you don't have 300 people taking the test, but at the same time, it's just so unnecessary at that point.
And then now it is unnecessary. We've already talked about all those things, but if you want that piece to count, put it where it counts. Put it at the end. Make it be where you want people to really race, to where they can put their whole heart and soul into it, because they're not going to, whether there's a score for it or not, if that is going right into another piece. They're just not going to do it.
So if they went backwards, so lunge, toes to bar, row, and they gave it an A and B, and your B score was your final row. I mean,
that would be better than the way it's set up now.
It's like we're doing an A and B, and we're gonna die on this hill. It's like, okay, then do it in reverse.
Yeah.
Right. Do it in reverse. At least you have to earn it at the end. And again, as we said, for something like Jackie, this is a very Jackie-ish finale, it needs to go in reverse. Gone are the days of the 1,000-meter row buy-in or the 50 cal bike buy-in only. The skier one, it's a pyramid chipper. That's a bit different.
Right.
Right. There's a buy-in there, but there's also a cash out on the other end.
And I can understand that while it was being designed, that everybody likes the lunge race to the end. I get it. I totally get it. But if you are going to if in your programming you decided for whatever reason that you wanted to have 1,000K row as one of the scored events, then you're not getting what you want out of that scored event based on that one thing. And as we saw with Wodapalooza and with other events like that you have someone that decides to either send or to race the whole thing or whatever, and now a second or a 5-second split is a massive amount of places,
right?
Not just a couple,
right?
So you're right. Either flip it and get it to where it matters, where people are really going to be racing it for sure, or just don't use it. I mean, because if you look at the overall view of this, we had a run that was scored, we had a swim that was scored, we had a row that scored.
Yep.
Out of the 7 events that we had, there's 3 of them that were basically monostructural setups that we scored. And we're getting away from trying to find. And granted, this isn't supposed to be the game, so the why is a little bit different. But if you're looking at trying to still have a balanced setup between everyone, they're fun events. But I think that all of a sudden we started skewing that way.
Right.
Right.
And to your point is, okay, we have 1, 2, well, it's 2 scored events. We have two parters.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So yeah, you're right. We have an isolated run, an isolated swim, and an isolated row as individually scored events, which skews a lot towards the monostructural athlete.
Yeah.
When you look at event 1 with the handstand walks and the double unders, is that the double unders are, we can consider those monostructural, but it's the handstand walk that was the gatekeeper
100%.
there, right? So we got inverted, we did some double under skill, we got inverted again, under speed with the unbroken, right? Unbroken 25 feet for, your athletes under 50. Like there's a lot of, error or execution that got in it, right? The mile run, sandbag mile run. Cool. All right. We went gymnastics heavy. We went endurance heavy. Then we went right to the swim one. Okay. It's like, okay, we went a little back to back there, but it's short sprints. So like not all runs are created equal. Fine there. Then the beat the clock, the 2-parter. The speed skills where you had the 5 rounds of accumulating time with bike and bar muscle ups. Cool. It's a short bike. It's a decent chunk of bar muscle ups. I think it totals to 30, which is a great number for all of us, like whether it's ring or bar.
Yeah.
For those younger divisions, for both the men and women. And then you're putting the snatch portion on that. So you have 2 opposing things, right? You got a monostructural gymnastic, high skill, high intensity with a high weightlifting that requires high execution.
Yeah.
Up at this point, I'm like, okay, we're nailing it. All right, so we got through that 3 to 5 minutes, and then we hit jack catch, which is the thrusters and rope climbs. And what we said, that vertical, high skill, high strength endurance pull with a legless rope climb, and a heavy weight for barbell cycling through a squat and a press.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great tail right into the ski, deadlift, burpee, box jump over chipper. Like all the way, honestly, up until we get to the final event is really where it's like they just they didn't finish. They didn't cross the finish line.
Yeah.
Like they could have.
Yeah.
So you've got let's see, gymnastics. We have handstand walks. We have legless rope climbs. We have burpee box jump overs. Those are gymnastics tools, and the bar muscle ups.
Bar muscle ups.
Right. So that's press, pull, push, pull. Barbell weightlifting. We have the sandbag carry, which is considered that, right? We have the thruster. We have the snatch. We have the deadlifts. Okay, so we have pull from the floor, squat press. Well, I'll say full range of motion pull from the floor with the snatch. Right. Yeah. There's a hinge pull there. We have the squat press overhead with the thruster, the sandbag carry, which is kind of that horizontal weightlifting movement, and then the deadlifts, which is just a hinge pull from the floor, half the distance, heavier weight. I think we've touched a lot of bases here.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you look at the monostructural, we've got the single unders, the run, the row, or the run, swim, and the bike. And so we look at the final event, it's like there's still so much on the table. We've only done like 4 or 5 in each modality. And to the point is like, I don't even think we need to touch another monostructural one unless you want to keep it like something quick, like a WMG chipper and let's go.
Yeah.
Which is basically what they did, right? They had a row monostructural, they had a gymnastics with the toes to bar, and then they had the weightlifting carry towards the end. But we've already kind of done a weightlifting carry with the sandbag in event 2. Toes to bar is fine. You put that in there. We haven't had that. We haven't had a real core dominant movement. So I like that. But with the row, like you said, in this format, it's just a miss on the final event. And I don't like the AB scoring, especially when you isolate 1,000-meter row. Almost there.
Almost there. I all the things you said were great up until that point. And you have to try to think, and we're armchair quarterback in this a lot, and as we always do when we're doing this analyzing, but the discussion had to at some point be, okay, we want X number of events and we're going to hold to that, or we want this to count, or why do we want this to count? And even we talked about it at the games where moving the row, instead of it being in the beginning, put it in the middle, where you can sandwich the other around and make it one event. Now, granted, that takes one of your scores out, and I don't know if that was one of the whole, one of the.
I really don't think they needed another score though. When you're doing events, you don't need 8 different scores.
I don't disagree with you. I'm trying to think of what was the holdup that they had? What was that thing that made them hold on to that? That I think at this point, with a lot of the talk that has gone on, especially this year, with analyzing the different programs, whether it's been from us or some of the other, the other platforms that are out there, this idea of scoring a 1,000-meter row or a single modality or a single lift has come up a lot of times. Like, when is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate? What's the purpose of it? Do you need to have it? So, I mean, unless the programming happened last year, then it's like, were they just kind of like, okay, we already got it done. I don't want to make any more changes, which is possible, which is possible. But I don't think, being that time frame was the same from start to finish. Now, yes, they scored in the first part of it, but the clock was continually running the whole time. They could have taken that out and made it one event and made it one score.
I think,
like time wise, it was done. Like, scheduling wise, was already finished. Everything was finished. They just manually went in and put a little divider in there and made it 2 scores.
I think if you put it in reverse and you made the kettlebell lunges overhead walking lunges, you get that extra push overhead that we haven't had too much of, right, in an isolated hold. The toes to bar, fine. 50 is a number that is going to force people to either game plan or pull away.
Yep.
And then if you want to finish on the 1,000-meter row to win an event, to win the competition, that's where you're going to put it.
Yeah.
And so I think, honestly, you take the 2 scores out, put it in reverse, and who cares if you run, you know how exciting it is, at least some people at least know where you are. Like, this, it wasn't for TV. Like, who cares if you put the 1,000-meter row at the end?
Right.
I don't care how exciting it is to watch from the sideline. How exciting is it to be an athlete just rowing for your life at the end of an event?
What do you think? What do you think about something like this? About, okay, so you have the 1,000-meter at the end, which I like that idea of putting at the end anyway. Now, there's a logistic part to this, but what would you think about? You know how they want you to march down the floor if you're doing thrusters or you're doing overhead squats or lunges or whatever, so that way you can kind of see where the race is.
Yeah.
What if you had to row 500 meters, get off your rower and move to another rower? Like, move on one up ahead of time or something like that.
Yeah.
Or you had to row to a certain point and then move your rower up to another one, hop in and start running. Wouldn't that be sick?
Horrible, but it would be awesome.
I think, you would know exactly where everyone is.
If you want to get cute, instead of this one score thing, like, which isn't cute, stop doing that, guys.
Right.
No. That'd be great. Or have a spare judge back there that has a pylon for you, and every 100 meters they move a pylon further and further towards the finish line. And once it gets to the finish line, you have to get off your rower and run to it.
Yeah.
Time to stop. Run to it. Simple.
There's a lot of things you can do. Fix it.
No,
but it's like, up to that point though, there was a lot of good stuff.
There was a lot of good stuff. Off-season Masters competition for a bunch of people, 6 to 8 events over the course of the weekend in October.
Yeah.
It checked a lot of good boxes here for just, again, an off-season competition that is for Masters athletes.
Yeah.
They did a lot of cool stuff here. So I give them props for the programming overall. And like I said, we don't get everything perfect. At the same time, there's trends that we've seen that need to stop.
Totally.
And it started with the CrossFit Games. Saying. All right, your overall Element 26 thumb tape review, sir, for the Masters Fitness Collective.
I really thought generally speaking, the events were pretty fun. I liked what they were. There were a lot that I would love to do. Huh?
Yeah, they got to do a lot of cool stuff.
They got to do a lot of cool stuff. I still think that there's some work when I'm looking at the programming, and I'm picky, I guess, when it gets to the master stuff, because I will look at all the stuff, especially because I am getting closer to that 55 division. I'll look at that a lot. So I think there were a handful of misses on what that 55 division is going to look like. That 55 to 60, I think that's a tough one to design. Where we need to do the most work in the Masters division. But generally speaking, up to that one point, we talked about all those great events in the beginning, what it looked like, all the fun things, the weights being done right, the skill level was appropriate, and then we got to the end, and I don't want to say that I don't like the event because we have just overly talked about scoring out a 1K row. But when you take that and you couple it with, we already had the scored run, we already had the scored swim, we didn't need to have that in there. And that one event off-weighted, I think, a lot of what we were doing. But generally speaking, I think it was fun. So I'll give it like 1.25. I think it was a good weekend, a good off season, a lot of good events. There were a lot of names, a good handful of names that were in the overall scheduling of everybody. So it was fun to see that. It was a lot to see a lot of the games athletes that were at the games this year that I got to commentate on end up there, which is really cool. So they did a good job. They did a good job, and they're getting better every year, which is what's important.
Yes, and when you look at the totality of the events, I think it's 9 scored events now that I'm looking at it, with 2 two-parters in there.
Yeah.
So they did 7 events, and some were really short. So they had the time and the energy to do more things. But as you said, is that regardless of our opinion of where you put a row, and some could say our opinion of scoring it, but that might be less what we're talking about, is that in that format, we can't have that many individualized scores events in the same modality.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of what you're talking about there. Like 30% of your work. Imagine if 30% of your work were all like 1, 3, and 5 rep maxes, because that's what we're really looking at.
Right. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's weird to say that and make it sound like
a guy who would love this programming, by the way.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's us. We get OCD about trying to be as well-rounded as possible to showcase that fitness. And again, this is not supposed to be the games, but even with that, we were all going to look at, unless there's a specific game plan of what you're trying to do. Like if it was, I don't know, the tactical game, something like that. It's like, okay, what we're going to be looking at, you'll do some running stuff or whatever, but we're talking about the shooting.
Right.
You're talking about that stuff. So these are CrossFit competitions or fitness competitions. And our general definition of fitness has, the 10 physical traits that are all supposed to be in there. So we want to make sure that there's a nice well-roundedness with that, generally speaking. Yeah. So, did everyone have a good time? Yeah, I heard nothing but good things about the event.
Same.
Did it look fun? Absolutely. Were there some big names that got to be able to get out there and showcase and people go shoulder to shoulder with them? Absolutely. Were there a couple foul balls? Yeah, totally. That's okay.
Yeah.
This event has gotten better every single year. And the group, the whole Masters Collective group, the team that they have together, those guys have done a great job. And honestly, they're the group that is really leading the charge when it comes to a lot of the Masters stuff. Between those guys and the Legends group, they are pushing to give the Masters what they want and what they need. So I mean, I give them a lot of grace. I give them a lot of props for what they're doing. I don't like a 1K row scored. There's no need for it.
That's it. So that's all we have. So I think my overall take, I'll give it a 1.4.
Okay.
I like what they did. Again, they're all fun. Selfishly, with my skill set, as I said before, this would be great.
Yeah.
Please isolate a 1,000-meter row rather than a 1-rep max deadlift any day. But as far as a test and what you should be scored in for an overall balance, take that double score off. Don't score a 1K. Flip that event in reverse, and now we're looking at a really, really good program games for or event for these Masters athletes. So,
Yeah.
all right. Good stuff. Guess what, everyone? The book club is coming back.
That's right.
Thursday, CrossFit Journal, The Overhead Presses is our next one up. So we'll post that on YouTube, what time it goes up. We'll put the link in the chat, in that YouTube description. We'll also, Jeffrey, yes, I am. Physically. So the CrossFit Journal, the Glassman Chipper is coming back on Thursday. Stay tuned for a time like that. If you guys are a Programmatron, you follow us on Patreon and you support us more than you already do, we'll be sending out those PDFs to you as well as the revised version once we go through it after the show. Bill?
Sir.
It's good to finally get my toe into the Masters pool, my friend, officially.
Officially. Look at you.
Officially.
Yeah.
40's going to be good. Can't wait for the next 10 years.
It'll go by fast.
I know. Hope you guys along the road with us. You've been awesome so far, and we look forward to seeing y'all Thursday.
Bye, guys.